two versions.
My cliënt het nooit vir u twee weergawe gegee nie.
My client's version is one.
My cliënt se weergawe was een
Since the 29th of February 2024.
vanaf die 29 Februarie 2024.
Which two versions are you talking about?
U praat nog van twee weergawe, waarna verwys u? Waarna verwys u wanneer u praat van twee weergawe?
Eerlijk, het jy gepraat van twee weergaves?
My lord, I did not mention two versions.
Maybe that was an interpretation. Can the court help me?
Dalk is dit die tolk.
The interpreter used the three versions, or two versions. The witness testified that initially he said he had no knowledge. Later on, he said, ask Kelly. And then later on mentioned the person by the name of Makalima. So if I would have summarized that, I would not have used two, but rather three. But Mr. Yankees interpreted and counted the numbers.
Okay.
And that's where the confusion came.
Thank you, my lord.
Dank u, edele.
Although I still have to cross-examine you regarding what you are alleging that my client has said to you.
Alhoewel ek nog vir u moet kry so 'n vraag.
But I want,
Rakende dit wat u beweer
But
die
now-
cliënt aan u so oorgedra het, maar nou,
but now that you've mentioned this now,
nadat u maak nou melding daarvan, nou,
the information about Kelly,
die inligting rondom Kelly,
the information about Makalima,
die inligting rondom Makalima,
my client
my cliënt,
is not an author of that information.
hy is die outeur van daardie inligting.
That is the police story that was prescribed to
Dit
my
is die
client.
polisie se weergawe wat aan hom voorgeskryf is.
Any comment to this?
Wat is die kommentaar daarop?
Eerlijk, als ons informatie gaat van Makalima voor die onderhouden,
My lord, in case we had the information about Makalima before the interviews,
zou ons eerst daaraan toe gaan het,
we would have proceeded there, my lord,
voor ons met die onderhouden beginnen,
before we commence with the interviews,
diezelfde zoals we met Owen gemaakt het hier.
the same as we did with Owen, my lord.
Ons het dan maar Makalima toe gegaan,
We proceeded to Makalima, my lord,
na ons informatie van beschuldigde 1 afgekry het.
after we
Is toch 2.
gained that information from accused number 2, my lord.
Do you dispute
Betwist u
the fact that
the feit dat
my client is not the author author of the evidence,
my cliënt is nie die outeur van daardie getuienis nie,
making reference to Kelly and or Makalima?
verwysende na Kelly en Makalima?
Ik dispute het eerlijk.
Ek betwist dit die edele. I do not dispute it, my lord.
Okay.
Ek betwist dit. Oh, I do. I dispute it, my lord. Sorry.
Were you in the interviewing rooms all the time?
Was die derentyd in die onderhoudskamers?
Eerlijk, ik was tussen die 2 onderhoudskamers.
My lord, I was between the two interview rooms, my lord.
That was not my question.
Dit is nie my vraag nie, Susan.
Were you in the room? Were you in the interview room of Stevino at all material times?
Was u in die kamer waarin onderhoud met Stefano gevoerd het op alle wesenlijke tye?
Eerlijk, het is vanzelfsprekend
My lord, it is obvious
dat als ik naar die 1 kamer met beschuldigde 1 beweeg het,
when I moved with the room where accused number 1 was kept,
was ik niet in die kantoor met beschuldigde 2 nie eerlijk.
I wouldn't have been in a room where accused number 2 was held, my lord.
So you were not at my client's interview room all the time.
So it was die derentyd in die vertrek waar die onderhoud met my kliënt gevoer gewees het.
Korrek eerlik.
Correct, my lord.
So you cannot
Of ten alle
dispute.
tye.
So you cannot dispute that.
Daarvoor, ek kan dit nie betwis nie.
The police officers prescribed to my client, told my client
Dat die polisiebeamptes aan my kliënt voorgeskryf het en vir hom aangesê het
that you must say
wat hy moet sê.
Kelly told Buddha to take Joshlin to Makalima.
Kelly het vir Boeta gesê Kelly het vir Boeta gesê om Joshlin na Makalima toe te neem.
To put cherry on top. They even said, we had this information, we got this information that Kelly told Buddha to take Joshlin to Makalima.
Om dit te kwalifiseer, hulle het selfs gesê dat hulle beskik oor die inligting dat Kelly vir Boeta gesê het om Joshlin na Makalima toe te neem.
Edele, as hy so voorgesê was deur polisiebeamptes,
My lord, in case he was prescribed by the police as such, my lord,
terwyl ek nie daar was nie,
whilst I was not there, my lord,
moes hy dan dit vir my vertel het, edele,
he should have informed me about it, my lord.
en hy het nooit vir my gesê
He never told me, my lord,
dat Joshlin was na Makalima toe gevat gewees nie, edele.
that Joshlin had to be taken to Makalima, my lord, or Joshlin was taken to Makalima, my lord.
So dit is moontlik
Therefore, it is possible
dat dit kon gesê gewees het,
that that was said,
maar baie unlikely, edele.
toch heel onwaarschijnlijk, my lord.
Thank you, Sergeant. Seeing that it was very late in the evening,
Sien dat dit was baie laat die aand.
why you didn't release my client and tell him to come the following day? Why did you continue with the interviews the whole night and the morning?
Hoekom het jy nie vir hom vrygelaat nie? Of hoekom het jy nie vir hom laat huis toe gaan nie? En vir hom dan aansê om terug te keer die daaropvolgende dag. Hoekom het jy nou aangehou met hierdie onderhoude?
Edele, dit is 'n ongoing investigation.
Edele, dit was 'n aangaande ondersoek.
Die onderhoude was nie permanent gestop nie.
The interviews were not stopped permanently, my lord.
Ons was besig om nog inligting op te volg, edele.
We were busy following up on information, my lord.
En soos ek reeds getuig het, ons 'n 6-jarige kind wat vir 2 weke vermis is, edele.
As I already testified, we dealing with the missing of a 6-year-old child who was missing already for 2 weeks by then.
So tyd was vir ons baie belangrik, edele.
Therefore, time was very important for us.
But we've already interviewed him.
Toch het al reeds onderhoud met hom gevoer.
He's insisting on his innocence,
Hy dring daarop aan op sy onskuld.
and you don't have any evidence to contradict his
U
innocence.
beskik nie oor enige inligting ten einde sy onskuld verkeerd te bewys nie.
Edele, die feit dat daar verskille is tussen beskuldigde 1, 2 en 3 se verklaringe
My lord, the fact that there was differences between accused number 1, 2 and 3 statements,
en die feit dat hulle vir ons gesê het ons moet vir Kelly vra en na Makalima toe gaan, edele.
and the fact that they asked us to ask Kelly as well as to proceed to Makalima, my lord,
Dit het vir ons rede gegee dat daar meer is wat hulle nie vir ons vertel nie, edele.
that gives us a reason that there was more to it. That was more, they were not forthcoming with, my lord, or they were not informing us.
You just told the court that it's possible
It's so pas vir hof gesê dit is moontlik.
that the part about Kelly and Makalima should have been prescribed to my client. Why did you keep him? If you have foreseen that possibility.
Deur Makalima. Die moontlikheid bestaan dat hy was voorgesê.
He didn't refer to the possibility then. You've put the proposition to him and he answered. If the accused was so prescribed when he was not there, the accused should have told him. Of course, this is now here at the trial when it's raised. It wasn't raised then. Then he added in, because the proposition is that he was prescribed to say that Kelly told Buddha, this was the question, to take Joshlin to Makalima. Then he added on, he said, he never told him, this is now accused number 2, his words were, he never told me Joshlin was taken to Makalima. The context of the answer is, if he was so prescribed, he never told me that. And then he added on, may be possible, but it's highly unlikely in the context of being prescribed, having answered the way he did. Because the way I understood the answer was, if he was then so prescribed, then he would have told the witness that Kelly told Buddha to take Joshlin to Makalima. If the other people would remember when he left the room, that was the context. Accused number 2 was with the other officers, and you put it to him that they told him all these things, and that's the way he answered. He doesn't say that on the evening he found being prescribed to be unlikely. That's how I have it.
My Lord, can the court assist with the last sentence of that answer?
The answer was he never.
It is possible.
He never told me Joshlin was taken to Makalima. That's in answer to your question. Then he say, it's possible but highly unlikely.
It is possible.
It's possible but highly unlikely. In the context of the question as put to him, as he explained, and the basis for the explanation was, if he was then so told to tell me, he didn't tell me.
Who didn't tell him? My client or his colleagues?
The accused didn't tell him. Remember, I'm going to repeat. The question was that he was not in the room all the time. So you said to him, so you cannot dispute that the police officers pressurized and told him to say Buddha, and told him to say that Buddha took, that Kelly told Buddha to take Joshlin to Makalima. And you added on to say that these officers also told him that they have that information, to which the witness answered, said, if he was so pressurized, then the accused did not tell him this is what the witness says.
Oh, okay.
And he never told the witness the content about Joshlin being taken to Makalima, and he commented on that in the context of that.
Okay.
It might be possible that they would have told him something in his absence, but it's highly unlikely given what he said above. I have the verbatim questions and answers, but that's how I understood the evidence.
And you are saying, thank you, my Lord, and you are saying that my client didn't tell you that
En u sê verhof dat my kliënt het vir dit gesê nie.
the part about Kelly and Makalima was prescribed to him.
Die gedeelte Kelly Makalima is aan hom voorgesê nie.
I want to be clear.
Ek wil duidelikheid hê.
Edele as bedediging bedoel dan of die beskuldigde vir my gesê het,
My Lord, does the defense wants to know whether or not the accused informed me?
Yes.
Yeah.
dat hy voorgesê was, dan is die antwoord nee.
That he was prescribed.
Yes.
Then my answer to that is no.
Does it make sense to you?
Maak dit sin by u?
If my mother is beating me,
My ma slaan vir my.
I go and report to the same mother who's beating me.
Ek gaan terug en 'n verslag maak aan dieselfde moeder wat my pak gee.
If it makes sense to you, it's fine. What is your comment on this?
En indien dit by u sinvol is, wat is die kommentaar daarop?
Eerder verstaan nie die konteks van die vraag hier. Of het 'n alleenstaande stelling is of
My lord, I do not understand the context of this statement. Is it now a standalone?
It's a follow-up. You said my client didn't tell you that the police officers have prescribed to him the part about Kelly and the part about Makalima.
Dit is die getuienis dat my kliënt het vir u gesê nie oor hierdie Makalima Kelly gedeelte verwittig nie.
Let's go back.
Ons keer terug.
My client instructs me that
My kliënt sê vir my,
you are the one. You are the one.
u is dan die een,
You are the one that took him to this office where he was assaulted.
u is dan die een wat hom geneem het na die einste kantoor waar die marteling plaasgevind het,
Yes,
of waar hy
already-
geslap gewees het.
He has already lost faith in you. How
Die
do you
daai
expect
tyd.
him now to come and report some things to you?
In daai tyd het hy al geloof aan u verloor. Hoe verwag u dat nou, hy gaan nou dan vir u so verslag oordra, sodanige rapport nie oordra, want hy glo nie meer vir u. Teen daai tyd glo hy glad nie meer vir u.
eerlik?
Maar lord,
Die beskuldigde is nooit in my teenwoordigheid aangerand nie.
the accused was never assaulted whilst I was present, my lord.
Daar was ook geen tekens van hom wat aangerand was terwyl ek in die ander kantoor was en teruggekom het.
Neither were there any signs that he was assaulted whilst I was in another office, my lord.
So ek verstaan nie hoekom hy sê dat hy vertrou my nie eerlik.
Therefore, I do not understand the mistrust in me, my lord.
Now we're going back now to the office
Ons keer terug, weer eens keer ons terug na die kantoor toe,
where you took him in.
waarna u vir hom geneem het, waarna toe u vir hom geneem het.
Now you are coming from the bathroom with him.
Ek kom nog van die badkamer af met hom.
He instructs you.
Hy sê vir my,
I pleaded with the police.
ek het met die beampte gepleit,
I begged him.
ek het vir hom gesmeek,
I am innocent.
ek is onskuldig,
I have no knowledge of what happened to Joshlin.
ek dra geen kennis van wat met Joshlin so gebeur het nie.
And your answer was, I'm
En
sorry.
die antwoord daarop
I'm
was ons
sorry,
volg.
Sergeant. Your answer was,
Die antwoord daarop,
your time is over.
die tyd is verby.
Now I'm going to take you to the other office.
Nou neem ek vir u na die ander kantoor toe.
In that office, I promise you,
En
you will
daardie
speak.
kantoor beloof ek u, u sal praat.
What is your comment on this?
Wat is die kommentaar daarop?
Dat dit nog nooit gebeur het.
Dat it never happened, my lord.
I'll take you 2 steps back,
Ek
Sergeant.
neem 2 tree terug, sergeant.
Before you took him out to
Al voor
relieve
u vir hom-
himself in the bedroom, amongst the police officers, there was the one police officer, while they were assaulting him, who made fun of my client's mother's funeral.
Of what? I didn't get the last part.
Funeral.
Of the mother's funeral.
Yes.
Dis wat was die bathroom?
Before Sergeant Fontaine
Voor
took my client to the bedroom,
sergeant Fortin voor u vir hom badkamer toe gaan neem het.
amongst the police officers who were assaulting him.
tussen die beamptes wat vir hom aangerand het,
There is this one police officer
in besonder 'n beampte
who made fun of the funeral of my client's mother.
van sy moeder, my kliënt se moeder se begrafnis, 'n bespotting van sy moeder se begrafnis gemaak het. Een beampte
Even this part of evidence you didn't hear?
het nie hierdie gedeelte van die getuienis gehoor nie. Selfs hierdie gedeelte van sy getuienis het nie gehoor nie. Die bespotting van sy moeder se begrafnis.
Edele, dat nooit sulke goed gebeur terwyl ek daar was nie, edele.
My Lord, no such had ever happened whilst I was present there, my Lord.
This police officer,
Hierdie beampte
he said to my client,
sê vir my kliënt,
I am going to take flowers to your mother's grave because you were not present when your mother was buried.
ek neem blomme na u ma se graf toe, want u was nie teenwoordig die tyd toe u ma begrawe is. Tydens die moeder se te aarde bestelling was u nie teenwoordig. Derhalwe neem ek blomme na u moeder se graf toe.
Ek het niks van dit gesien of gehoor nie, edele.
No such had I ever seen, my Lord, nadat dit dat het, my Lord.
This broke my client's heart because indeed he was not present when his
Inderdaad.
mother was buried.
Inderdaad was hy nie teenwoordig tydens die moeder se begrafnis nie, en dit het sy hart gebreek.
Any comment to this?
Wat is die kommentaar daarop, Sussant?
Soos ek weer sê, edele, ek dra geen kennis van dit nie, edele.
Once again, my Lord, I bear no knowledge of such, my Lord.
Maybe it was said by the time you were in the office of accused number one.
Dalk kon dit gesê gewees het onderwyl u in die kantoor waar nommer 1 aangehou gewees het.
Edele, ek dra nie kennis van die toilet toeneem van beskuldigde 2 nie.
My Lord, I bear no knowledge of the taking of accused number 2 to the toilet.
Maar die verdediging het gesê dat dit net gebeur net voor ek vir hom toilet toegevat het.
But the defense said that that happened just before I took him to the bathroom, my Lord.
En nou sê die verdediging weer, ek kon miskien in die ander kantoor gewees het, edele.
Now the defense is saying that I could have been in another office, my Lord.
So, ek verstaan hom nie, edele.
Therefore, I do not understand, my Lord.
Correctly, you don't understand. I will repeat it to you. But because I repeat to you, my Lord, I've seen a flash of a camera while I was busy cross-examining. I didn't feel comfortable about it.
No, I also got a note from my registrar. Please, can you just... Ms. Nkabai must concentrate on the questions, and if the flash goes, it can be distracting. So just hold your horses on that. Good. Thank you, Ms. Nkabai.
Sergeant Fortain,
Susan Fortuin,
this part about my client, his mother's funeral, was said before you took him to the bathrooms.
hierdie gedeelte oor die moeder se begrafnis is aan hom vertel voor u vir hom badkamer toe geneem het.
Were you present when this was said to my client?
Was hy teenwoordig toe dit aan hom oorgedra is?
Die edele, soos ek weer gesê het, ek het niks van dit gehoor nie, ek het ook nie beskuldigde 2 toilet toegevat.
My Lord, once again, I did not take the accused to the toilet, neither did I hear that, my Lord.
Now that you are saying, at some time you'll be in the office where accused number 1 was interviewed.
Nou sê u by tye was u in die kantoor waar nommer 2 se onderhoud
Is it,
aangegaan het.
is it possible then that this piece of making the funeral of my client a fun from this police officer, is it possible that it was said the time you were busy with accused number 1?
Is dit dalk moontlik dat hierdie bestaan dalk 'n moontlikheid dat hierdie bespotting ons sy moeder se begrafnis kon gebeur het terwyl u besig gewees het met nommer 1.
Edele, ek kan nie getuig op iets in 'n tydperk toe ek nie daar was nie.
My lord, I can't testify as to something that had happened whilst I was away, my lord.
Are you saying this was said, but you were not there at the time it was said? Is that what you are implying before this court?
I'm sorry, my lord. This witness has answered the question. In fact, the first suggestion was that it was before he was taken to the bathroom. Then it was when he was in the office. Now it was in his absence. What are the instructions? Because these possibilities are endless. That is my objection.
I'm not sustaining the objection. But the question was asked and it was answered about the possibility, and the witness answered he can't testify to what would have happened there when he was not in the room, implying that if he wasn't there, anything could have been said.
Implying that, my lord? He was
That
not
whilst
there.
he was not in the room, because his answer is he can't testify to something that could have happened when he was absent. So implying, yes, they could have said anything, but he wasn't there, and he's unaware of it. Just
It was the interpretation,
whilst
my
we
lord.
clarifying this issue.
It was the interpretation. Thank you. I got it now.
Just one moment, Mr. Kabay. Or ask your questions and then ask your question. I don't want to break your chain of thought. Ask your question, then I'm going to clarify.
Now that you are not in accused number 2's office, I'll call it that way, all the time. Are you suggesting that this fund that was made about his mother was made while in your absence?
Sê u dat hierdie bespotting ons sy moeder se begrafnis is in u afwesigheid gemaak?
Edele, ek maak geen suggestions nie. Ek sê net ek kan nie getuig oor iets wat ek nie by gewees het nie, edele.
My lord, I do not make any suggestions. All I'm saying, I cannot testify about something that was said in my absence.
Okay, so now I want to clarify that. You told us who were there in the room.
Iets vir ons gesê wie almal in die vertrek gewees het.
And you gave us names yesterday. I'm not
And
going to
it
go
was-
to the names.
En het gister vir ons name gegee.
So you had your one colleague.
Een kollega,
Where's that colleague stationed?
waar is daardie kollega gestasioneer?
By myselfde een met edele, organized crime.
Die van die same unit organized crime.
And where does the colleague come from?
Waarvan kom hy?
How you say?
Van die Kaap af edele.
From the Cape, my lord.
Then there were the two City of Cape Town officials.
Dan was daar 2 staatskapsatleetiekosters.
Korrek edele.
Correct, my lord.
And we had the crime intelligence officers.
Dat was minister intelligentiebeampten.
Korrek edele.
Correct, my lord.
So the City of Cape Town officials, would that be correct to infer that they're also not from Saldanha?
Kan ek dan tot 'n gevolgtrekking kom of hy aftrek dat die Kaapstad wetstoepasser is die van Saldanha.
Korrek edele.
And the crime intelligence officials, where are they from?
En die minister intelligentiebeampte is paas van
Ook van die Kaap kantoor edele.
also van die Cape, my lord.
Were there any officials in that room where the interview with accused number 2 took place? That's from Saldanha.
Was daar plaaslike beamptes of Saldanha beamptes in die kamer waar die onderhoud gebeur het?
Nie sover kan ek onthou nie edele.
Not as far as I remember, my lord.
Are you aware whether any of the officials in the room had known accused number 2 prior to the interview?
Weet jy of van die beamptes wat daar gesit?
Nee,
Van die twee gekeerde of voor hierdie onderhoud?
nee, Edele.
No, my lord.
Were you made aware by any of the officials in the room
Is die keer enige van die beampte in vertrek?
or anybody on your investigation team
Of enige ander persoon in die onderzoekspan?
that they knew the family of accused number 2?
Dat hulle bekend is met nummer 2 se familie weet?
Nee, Edele.
No, my lord.
Were you at any stage aware
Was die op enige stadium bewus
that accused number 2's mother was deceased?
van die feit dat nummer 2 se moeder oorlede is?
Dis die eerste keer wat ek dit nou hoor, Edele.
Amerika het voor 'n vastaan na my lord.
So I don't have to follow up further, because if he didn't know she was deceased, he wouldn't have known about the funeral and he wouldn't have known about his absence at the funeral.
Korrek,
So
Edele.
just-
Op volgende was die stadium dat die ma oorlede is en so dat dit van die begrafenis is so dat die tyd nie hier die begrafenis bygewoon het nie.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kabay.
Thank you, my lord. Even my client was shocked
Die een was self skok.
because those were sad news. He was still hurting. He didn't attend his mother's funeral. He was sad to hear that during by the police officer.
Van inderdaad, ek het die moeder se begrafenis bygewoon nie derhalwe was sy hartseer.
Edele, ek dra geen kennis van dit nie, Edele.
My lord, I ken no knowledge of it, my lord.
After you told her that you've given him enough time and he didn't speak, you told him that you are taking him to the other office.
Nadat hy vir hom gesê het dat dit vir my geen kans gegee, hy het met hy gepraat en neem vir hom na 'n ander kantoor toe.
Eerlik en nooit dit aan die beskuldigde genoem nie, Edele. Ek dra geen kennis van wat die verdediging sê nie, Edele.
My lord, I have no knowledge of what the defense is saying now. At no stage have I ever told her that choose that, my lord.
On his arrival,
Toe hy aankom,
he could identify Sergeant Johnson amongst the police officers who were there.
hy kon sien,
It's had his arrival in the next.
Yes, yes.
dit is nou,
In other words, now in the boardroom.
The boardroom, yes, my lord.
dit is nou in die raadsaal. Dit is daar die polisiebeamptes wat daar teenwoordig gewees het, kon hy vir Sergeant Johnson uitken of identifiseer.
Edele, gedurende hierdie hele aand het ek nie vir Sergeant Johnson bo besieborde gesien nie, Edele.
My lord, throughout this whole night, I did not see Sergeant Johnson at the sea border, up there, the sea border, my lord.
You brought him to this second office.
Het vir hom die tweede kantoor toe geneem.
Edele,
We brought him to the first, and then we are bringing him now to the second office.
Het vir hom na die eerste kantoor toe geneem, nou neem hy vir hom na die tweede kantoor toe.
dis nie wat gebeur het hier, Edele.
That is not what happened, my lord.
You call it boardroom.
Hy verwys daarna as raadsaal of boardroom.
On his arrival, he was instructed
Toe hy aankom, is hy voorgesê
to took out what he was wearing on top.
om die boorklere te verwyder of die boorliggaam te ontkleed.
He was also instructed to take off his training shoes.
Hy is ook beopdrag om sy hardloopskoene te verwyder.
Your comment?
Wat is die kommentaar daarop?
Ek het dit nie gesien gebeur nie, Edele.
I did not see that happening, my lord.
You didn't see most of my client's instructions. Were you at the same place at the same time? Am I talking about the different interview?
Edele, ek was by sy moeder gewees, maar die storie wat beskuldigde 2 vir die instruksies wat hy gegee het, is nie wat gebeur het hier, Edele.
My lord, there was the seaboard, but the story or the instruction that the accused is giving is not a reflection of what had happened, my lord.
The prosecutor wanted to object and I showed her to sit down.
She likes to jump up this one. I don't know what's the problem.
Yes.
My lord, I want to do this part tomorrow morning. I don't want it to be piecemeal, with the leave of the court.
Edele, ek wil hierdie gedeelte môreoggend, want ek wil dit nog nie deels doen nie met die hof se verlof, Edele. Wil ek hierdie gedeelte môre handel?
And further, before cross-examining the witness, I want to take further instructions from my client, my lord.
En verder, alvorens ek met die cliënt verder kry, so 'n vraag aan my Edele, ek wil graag verder instructies by my cliënt kry, Edele.
Within these 15 minutes that is left from the court time.
It's 14 minutes
14
to
minutes.
3. We took a shorter lunch and adjournment, so we're not losing any court time. We're going to have Captain Siekui back here tomorrow.
Yes.
I would like for us to see whether we can finalize his evidence tomorrow. I suspect another hour or so with this witness.
Yes, my lord.
So you can tell him not to be here at 8:30 if he wants to come at after 9, that will be okay. So that he doesn't have to sit in the traffic, maybe still in Cape Town. On my current planning, it's my planning, I don't know how the practitioners plan. If we can then see whether we can finalize Captain Siekui tomorrow afternoon. I was told in chambers this morning that will be the end of the
Trial within a trial.
from the state's evidence on the trial within a trial, so that either later today, later tomorrow, or on Thursday we can then resume with accused number 1's case on the trial within a trial. And if it's only accused number 1, we anticipate that we might be ready to then deal with accused number 2 by Friday. I'm mentioning it to the parties now because we must start thinking about the argument. I've told counsel in chambers, and this is for the public as well, that in a trial within a trial, the court doesn't necessarily give reasons for the finding one way or the other. So we anticipate that, I would like us to get to that point ASAP. So by next week we can utilize as much time as possible in the trial. I've also been informed that on the 25th, not Good Friday, the Friday thereafter, that the venue will not be available. They have already secured the venue for another purpose. It's something that they can't move. So the likelihood is that we won't be able to use this venue on Friday the 25th. Mentioning it to council so that you know if you have to make arrangements. And then I'm going to make a request to council to tell me about it tomorrow. If we don't finish before the 30th, 1st of May is a public holiday, Workers' Day. If you should consider a request that we work on that day, so that by the end of that week we could potentially finalize all the evidence in the matter. Subject to what happens to the trial within a trial, we might be able to finish all the evidence in the case itself, and then we can plan further unless we can finalize the whole case by then. I cannot force any of the staff to work on a public holiday, and I can't enforce it on council either. But it might not make sense to be here. We are being facilitated to assist us, that we skip a day in the middle of the week if we need to finalize the matter. I don't want an answer now. You can think about it. You can discuss it amongst each other between the state and the defense. And then I shall see you in the morning at 8:30. Mr. Apollos, Mr. Van Rijn, your matter is adjourned till tomorrow. You have both been held in Malmesbury. I have already endorsed the warrant of detention for Ms. Smith earlier on, and I've postponed the matter in her absence till tomorrow, also to be held at Langebaan. Thank you, the court will adjourn.